I grew up in La Paz, Mexico, and it was a tiny little town on the coast of Baja. It was where everything happened, but at the same time, it's where nothing happens. The majority of the people that work and live here have something to do with fishing. I was lucky to witness a change in the community for the better. The more the people was able to discover the beauty of this place, the coast and the beach and the sunsets and the ocean and all the marine animals and the creatures out there, the more people started protecting it. My first dive experience was amazing. It was the first time that I put scuba gear on and I was able to breathe underwater. Just submerging into that beautiful, clear water with all this fish and seeing everything so clear and crisp and just mind-blowing for me. And being so gone into the beauty of it, it just made me feel like this is what I wanted to do for a living. I wanted to teach more people and I wanted to help more people. And mostly this was because I wanted the ocean to be a place that everybody could enjoy. I felt like the more people that would know about this ocean that I love so much, the more people will protect this ocean, because I can't do it alone. Jacques Cousteau said people protect what they love. I think to love the ocean is to protect the ocean. I feel like when you pass that passion to other people, you have a lot more opportunity to reach out to their hearts. I felt like it was a combination of sharing my passion for teaching and my passion for the ocean, putting it in someone, and pop, you have this beautiful human being that is gonna go out there and is gonna protect the ocean with you too. When I go back in time and I just think about all the beautiness that I've seen and how lucky I was to start at a very, very young age, I feel like I just have this big advantage and I want to convert that into a gift that I can give everybody I know, everything I learned. And that's why I'm a scuba instructor, because I want that people to be conscious of what's happening out there and to tell their friends and to tell their families and to tell their loved ones, and everybody, one kick at a time, will change the world. My hope is that other generations will appreciate it and will do a better job than we have. My ocean is my playground. My PADI is how I inspire others to discover the ocean.
When I freedive, I feel completely weightless. I can escape from gravity. I'm amazed at what my body can do. I grew up in a small surfing town and we were in the ocean every day. I remember surfing the point break at our beach and being really curious about the dark shapes below, so I went and took a PADI open water diver course. I truly loved the water, the weightlessness. I was flying. A few years later, I was traveling and I saw a freediving school. I'd never heard of freediving, but it looked amazing and I thought I may as well give it a go. I instantly loved it. It was the same weightless feeling that I loved about scuba diving, but without any equipment. I felt so free in the water. As I kept training, I developed an intimate understanding and relationship with my body. I learned how to manage and respect it in a way that I could comfortably stay underwater for longer and longer periods of time. I never thought that I'd be interested in deep or competitive diving, but over the years it slowly just happened. It felt good. I felt good doing it. Now when I'm not teaching the PADI freediver course, I travel the world competing in freediving competitions. I never feel like I'm competing against other people. As long as I comfortably dive deeper than I have before, then in my mind I've won. In the end, my diving has always been a way for me to explore myself. If I could live the rest of my life as I am now, I'd be happy. To dive all over the world and share that diving with other people is definitely a life worth living to me. My name is Adam Stern, and my PADI allows me to be free.
I was flying back from my first professional underwater photography shoot when I looked down and saw my backyard burning. The pilot announced that we were flying over the Deepwater Horizon oil spill. As a diver, I knew what happened underwater, and I knew what it meant for the life within it. I'd been diving in those very waters, and I just couldn't take my eyes away from what I was seeing. I burned that image in my mind and then vowed to do something to make a difference about it. David Dublé introduced me to the concept of sea change. A sea change is a transformation that leads to an improved state. And for me, when I flew over the Deepwater Horizon oil spill, that was a sea change. It was the catalyst which drove me to do what I could to make a difference for the world around us. I knew immediately that the best way to show people what's going on is to photograph it and then to tell a story about it. So I determined that diving all 50 states would be a great way to share that story. My goal was to create a book, a product that somebody could hold in their hands as a tangible piece of evidence as to how beautiful it is in the world around us. My entire mission as a woman who dove all 50 states is to share our local waters with everyone. I want people to love and know and see what's out there. I want to bring that to them so that they can understand how important our waters are. I love being outdoors. I love photography. And I love being underwater. As an underwater photographer, I get to combine all my passions into one experience. Photography is all about capturing a moment, and in framing it and showing people the world as you see it. I feel right when I'm underwater. When I'm on land, I feel awkward and out of place. But underwater, everything seems right, and diving has helped me get there. I want to help others appreciate the underwater world in a way that excites them. My photography helps me share that experience with others. I think we overlook things that are right under us. Local waters are beautiful and inspiring, and it's important to know that the balance of things needs to stay in place. if I don't show that the little spring in West Texas is truly magnificent, that little spring might someday go away. The 50-state journey is just the beginning to helping other people learn to love more about our waters and feel empowered. Going through the 50-state journey transformed me from scuba diver and a photographer and a designer into a conservation artist who speaks on behalf of our underwater world. I started diving because I love being underwater. By continuing my education, I was able to get into caves, go deeper, look at wrecks, and then also take people to those places through my photography. I worked with a lot of instructors. And over time, those instructors not only were my leaders and instructors, but became my buddies and even my friends. My hope is that we influence and change the world around us to create a brighter and better future. My PADI is how I learned that life doesn't have to be given to you, that you can take control of your life and experience and explore new horizons. My name is Jennifer Idle, and I'm an underwater conservation artist and diver.
Like most people, we all experience some sort of a dark time in our life. Some people get knocked down and don't get back up. Others rise to the occasion, become inspired, and make a change. For me, freediving is what brought me out of that hole. When I'm underwater, everything above water disappears. All stresses, all real world things just kind of melt away, and it's just me with myself. I can feel my heart rate slowing down. Feel just this overwhelming relaxation that comes over me. It gives me balance. It gives me insight, strength. It gives me everything. When I was 35 years old, I knew that I wanted to get out of the career that I was in, and made it a goal that by the time I was 40, I would be full-time committed to freediving and educating people.
Starting with our static apnea.
I can teach someone to hold their breath. I can teach them to dive deeper. But most importantly is having that ability to teach someone to really change themselves. It's about teaching them to tap into a part of themselves that they've never been in touch with, that they don't know exists. Humans are one of the few mammals on Earth that have this amazing ability known as the mammalian dive reflex. It is the act of our heart rate slowing down, the way that we shift blood throughout our body to more important areas as we get deeper. the ability to experience extreme pressures without having things go wrong with our body. It's adaptations that our body kicks in. It's a way of our body safeguarding itself. And it's a way of our body becoming ultra efficient underwater. It's absolutely mind-blowing what every single one of us is capable of. Even though freediving is seen as an individual sport, it really isn't. There's a certain level of vulnerability that we all have to experience. And from that vulnerability comes a bond that's really formed between your freedive peers and yourself. The area of the world I grew up in allowed me to forge some amazing relationships and to meet people that will forever be impactful in my life. I've been able to travel the world. I've been able to explore new places. I've been able to learn from people from all over the world, all because of diving. I've been asked time and time again, should I try freediving? Will it really change my life? And I ask the question right back. Can you afford not to? Are you truly ready to change your life? It changed my life forever.
Growing up along the coast of Southern California just absolutely turned me into a water baby. I just got this really deep love and passion for the ocean, and I just have this desire to protect it. Surfing really inspires that natural curiosity to want to know more. When you're out there, you see dolphins cruising by the lineup, you see seals playing in the kelp bed, and I think that sparks your natural curiosity for wondering what's beneath the waves. PADI really nurtures that curiosity that I have. There's so much to explore, there's still so much to learn about the ocean, and diving is so amazing because it just gives you that first-hand education about the ocean that you would never be able to have without it. Diving has made me passionate about conservation. It's allowed me to be active in stewardship for the ocean. When you see a manta ray gliding through the water, or you see a humpback in its calf, how could you not want to protect that? And how could you not want to preserve that for future generations? My hope is that if we can get people passionate about diving, then we can inspire people to care about the ocean. Without a healthy ocean, it's impossible to have a healthy planet. My name is Emily, and my PADI teaches me to protect and respect the ocean for future generations.
In 2008, my wife Carol and I decided to do something that we had always dreamed about but never quite acted on until we had children. We decided to put our careers and our possessions in storage. We sold our house. We took our boys out of school. They were 8 and 11 years old at the time, and we bought around the world airline tickets and traveled around the world for almost 13 months. We visited 28 different countries, had an experience of a lifetime. It's unfortunate, but I think too many families miss that opportunity, particularly when their children are young and are really curious about the world and fascinated by learning. And so we thought that making the world their classroom for 12 months would be the best education they could possibly have. Traveling has this incredible impact on children and adults for that matter. But it's actually been scientifically proven that when a child travels, their brains actually develop faster. Well, one thing I can certainly say with a great deal of confidence after this trip is that any parent should not underestimate their children. So this is a time to really show them the world and allow them to experience things that you may not be interested in or you think they may not be interested in, but unless you expose them to it or really give them the opportunity to try something, you'll never know. They also can do some real introspection to find out what they're interested in. It allows for a real opportunity for self-discovery, and that's the wonder and beauty of travel, that exposure to different places and people and things allow for that self-discovery that they may not otherwise have had. One thing that Carol and I love about scuba diving is it's an opportunity to see marine life in its natural environment. You feel like you're in their world. This is something that we thought would be incredible for our children to experience. They loved Africa, they loved seeing the wildlife in the open savanna, in the plains of Africa. So we thought, what about doing the same thing in the Great Barrier Reef, or in the oceans of Palau, or in the Indian Ocean? The magic of seeing something in its own environment, swimming in an alien world, is an experience that children will grow from, learn from, and be fascinated by. There's so much that children can learn from diving. It's a new life skill. Interestingly, it actually teaches them teamwork, getting a dive buddy, paying attention to detail, listening to your dive master. So this is a great opportunity for them to build some self-confidence, become more self-aware, and have a lot of fun with their new dive buddies. I don't think my boys had any idea of how cool it would be to actually dive in the open waters of Palau. They had a really good time getting certified in the pool during a summer camp. But once they hit the open water and experienced sharks and manta rays and sea turtles, their minds were blown. I think the really cool part about it was that they did it together. This was an experience that they could share, really for the rest of their lives. After going scuba diving with our children, we realized that this is an experience that is far more transformational than it is recreational. Do you want to kind of wake up one day when your kids are out of the house and in college or are married and realize that you didn't do enough with them when they were younger and that you didn't take the time to enjoy life and vacation together as a family? Well, we didn't want to have that regret, so this was something that was really a priority for us. A good friend of mine once told me that learning happens not just between the ears, but between the poles. When you're in school, you learn academically. But when you're traveling, you're interacting with the planet. You're hands-on learning. And that really enhances and enriches anyone's education, never mind children's. As parents, we always want the best for our children. Why not give them a gift of travel or an experience that they'll remember for the rest of their lives? Take them scuba diving. I mean, this is something that's going to be far more valuable than any material gift you can ever give them. My PADI is an invitation to explore the magic of the underwater world and experience it with my family. My name is Rainer Jens, and I'm a proud PADI diver since 1993.
I feel like diving and travel is a natural educational process for children. I think that it should be absolute, that it's a must. And as a responsible parent, for me, traveling around the world and scuba diving with my kids, being able to show them other cultures, other destinations, marine life, oceans, it has given them an independence. It's made them worldly. It provides them with confidence. And I think that it's opened their mind in a way that allowed them to grow courageously. When you take a child on a vacation, it's like recess for a whole week. It's just time where a child becomes important and the quality of that time is unmatched. And then when you add diving into it, and diving can be snorkeling, it could be skin diving, it can be doing the programs that we do. But it makes them feel like little adventurers. It empowers them. I see the sparkle and the excitement in their eyes. And the one thing I love about tiny travelers is they're fearless. You know, adults, we've been so predispositioned to things that kids don't think about. They don't get in the water and think about drowning. They get in the water and go, wow, look at all this color. Look at all these fish. And they want to touch everything and see everything. And then they want to come back and tell you about it. It's the only place on planet Earth where you can delve into another world and be a guest into another world, and you literally leave everything behind. There's no texting, there's no cell phones, there's no faxes, there's no peer pressure, there's no teachers, there's no homework. It's just silence and water. And I think that it gives them a sense of independence. Diving and travel is a major educational tool for kids. It really provides them so much in a way of becoming a young adult. I feel that dive travel brings about in children the ability to become more organized, to become more aware of environments, of marine life, of their effect and their impact on those environments. And it helps them bond as a family because they build an activity, a common thread that they all enjoy and can't wait to do again. They problem solve, they learn how to communicate underwater, they share their experiences. I see that families are more relaxed, they're having more fun, there's a lot more laughter, and kids will tell me that they've had the best time with their dads or their moms diving as a family. And from the kids' perspective, the chemistry is they like knowing that they're a buddy to their mom or their dad. When you take your child on a dive vacation, how was your dive? Awesome. What did you see? Turtles, tarpon, manta ray. Wow, what did you learn? I learned how to clear my mask today. I learned how to use a digital underwater camera today. I learned how to do CISA today. It's endless, it's chatter. It's an amazing line of communication and friendship that opens up between families and newfound friends. And I think that it's really important for families and parents to know that diving is something they can all do. They can do it safely, they can do it easily, and they can do it with so much joy and connection with their family. My ocean is what I want to share with the world, and I want it to be our ocean, and I want everybody to care about it. My hope is that the children for the last 16 years that have come through my doors as Little Sassies and SEAL Team and Junior Open Water will grow to love the underwater world, love the ocean, care about it, protect it, and be the voice of the future.
I was diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder, also known as PTSD, in 2004 during my first deployment to Iraq. There was no understanding of it at the time. There was no treatment for it. We didn't talk about our post-traumatic stress disorder. We didn't talk about anything. We just knew that when we were out doing our jobs, seemed natural to us. We didn't share much about what we felt about it or how we felt until much later. Some of the symptoms that I experienced were night terrors, night sweats, insomnia, anxiety of crowds, and easily startled. I enlisted in the Marine Corps shortly after 9/11. By February 2004, I was with 2nd Battalion, 11th Marines, and we were deployed to Iraq. We fired artillery, we were security for convoys and an EOD detachment out of Fallujah. It was my first opportunity to see combat. My PTSD came from the anxiety of not knowing what was going to happen, the anxiety of realizing what combat really was and that it affects everybody differently. But by 2006, I had developed such a callous for everything that it was a lot easier to deploy, but it was a lot harder to relate to my family and to relate to the people around me. It wasn't until I was medically retired in 2014 that I realized how thick the callus had got and how much I didn't relate with people around me, and to fully accept the depth of my PTSD and of my issues. Trying to fill a new role as dad and leave the role of deployed Marine behind was a little difficult. My relationship with Marcus was really strained during my deployments and my time in the service. When it wasn't my time training or deployed, I was very distant. Never really connected with him and didn't really know much about him for most of my time in the military. Marcus and I were spending the summer together. It was our first summer together in about 12 years, and we spent it going to baseball games. And a friend of mine contacted me about scuba diving through the Waves Project that introduces disabled veterans into scuba diving. The big thing that my friend emphasized was, well, you can take Marcus with you. It wasn't until I came across the Waves Project that I heard more about the therapeutic properties for PTSD, for neuropathy, and other types of injuries that veterans have. The Waves Project is an organization that stands for Wounded American Veterans Experience Scuba. They are a group of scuba diving enthusiasts, many different levels. One of the founding members had a family member who was a disabled veteran, and when he seen the impact that scuba diving had on him, he knew it was something that he really wanted to get into, teaching veterans how to dive. Diving with my son Marcus has been a great opportunity for us to connect on a level that we haven't had an opportunity to in the past. When we started diving, it opened up a whole new world for us. It's an opportunity for us to do something that we can share together, that we can develop together, because we trust each other more and we understand the necessity to take care of each other while we're diving and what being a dive buddy is about. It's given us a lot more opportunity to strengthen our relationship, and it's something that I'm very grateful for. The idea of remembering everything, being in the desert, the noise of firefights and explosions and radio chatter, the noise of the trucks and the wind blowing around you and just the incredible noise of everything, to the quiet, calm, peaceful feeling you get underwater. It's quite literally drowns most of the sound out around you. You don't hear much, but what you see is absolutely amazing. It's a completely different world. It's something that not enough people get to experience, but it's something that is the exact opposite of being on deployment. Whether it's a flashback or a memory or a bad dream, the water is a way to come back and recenter yourself. Honestly, what I love most about diving is doing it with my son Marcus and seeing his reaction to new experiences and the curiosity that comes out of it. It's great to see a new world opened up to him and seeing it from a dad's eyes. My hope for the future is to remember that I have one and to remember that there's always something else that we can be doing. There's always a next chapter. There's always a future. My PADI is another memory for Marcus and I to share. And we've made it our goal to collect as many memories as possible.
My family lives in Europe, so I was pretty much on my own here when I found out that I have cancer. I'm 39 years old. My father died at age 39 of lung cancer. My cousin died last summer of breast cancer at age 39. I found out my mother has cancer when I was 39. And I found out that I have breast cancer when I was 39. Then I took a deep breath and they said, okay, let's see what we have to do to move on, because I'm not gonna die at 39. I grew up in a communist country, so we were not really allowed to travel anywhere but to Mother Russia and east. Once the Berlin Wall fell and our passports were ready to get stamped, the gate opened up to west and our team went to Corfu for a week dive trip. We went diving with my girlfriend and we dropped down into this beautiful crystal clear visibility, and we saw sharks and turtles and octopus. But when I came back from that dive, I was just so pumped up and I just knew that this is it. This is what I want to do. Every time I was telling one of my relatives that I was going on a scuba adventure, they were saying, why are you not just watching the Jacques Cousteau movies? That's so much less dangerous. But I was never for one who wanted to live my dreams through somebody else's movies. I wanted to make my own movies, see my own sharks, go to my own shipwrecks, and I guess I was pretty hard-headed. I just knew what I wanted to do and I did it. I look at cancer as a journey, not as a battle. And as a journey, I always like to have something to focus on. And while I was going through cancer and the chemotherapy, I couldn't go scuba diving, but I could focus on going scuba diving. So what I started doing is between chemos, when I felt good, I went swim. Once I got better, I started snorkeling again. I find that looking forward to something is so important to stay positive. And scuba diving to me is that positive energy. Water is just so healing. Anytime I can be in the water, I heal much faster. I live in Los Angeles, so when I found out that I will lose my hair thanks to chemo, I was not super excited. I'm a big believer that inner beauty is what matters and what counts, but when you are a stunt woman and you work in Hollywood, showing up with no hair was really hard. Every time in my life someone say that you can't do something, I just say, watch me. Not wearing a wig just made me stronger. It really took me a couple of days to be okay going outdoors. But day by day, it just gave me more and more strength and confidence that, you know what, it's just hair. This is who I am. Sometimes I don't even remember that I don't have hair. I don't really think about it until I see my reflection in the mirror. When I started Miss Scuba, I wanted to be an example and show people that you can do what you put your mind to. And I'm doing the same thing with the cancer and going through publicly the whole cancer journey. A lot of my friends say that it was such inspirational for them so they could actually dream big and think outside of the box. And I find that I have the same opportunity with cancer. So I wanted to show other women this is not a battle with cancer, it's just something that we go through. You do what you need to do and it will be done. You just need to focus on something that's in the end, something that makes you happy. To me, that's scuba diving. Waking up every morning and have a reason to get up is just so important. And my husband and Enzo next to me every day is my pillar. That's what you realize when you're sick, when you're going through something, how the simple things are actually the most important things in life. My PADI is my springboard. It's because I'm a scuba instructor. I'm also a stunt woman. I started Miss Scuba. I started my ocean-inspired jewelry line, and I got to travel the world. My hope is that my story will be inspiration to others going through similar journeys that I have been going through. Men and women, divers and not divers. And it's hard, it's not easy, it's not something that you know how to deal with. But just take one day at a time. And never, never, never give up.
It was the last day of a 10-day Discovery Channel shoot. The guys shooting above the surface on the boat had nailed this epic orca footage. And as the underwater cameraman, I'd been jumping in day after day, and all they would do is they would just swim past and occasionally just turn their head and look at me, but nothing that made great TV. The pressure was on, only a few hours to go, lots of things going through my head. And all of a sudden, one of the team goes, "Steve, there's 3 orca right beside the boat, go in now." So I just dived into the water and went down to the bottom, and all of a sudden 3 orca come past me. And one of them went upside down and grabbed this ray, then dropped it a couple of meters away. I was like, whoa. All of a sudden this huge mouth of this orca, like this is a mouth that can take huge chunks out of whales. And I'm watching it get narrower and narrower, and the silt's coming off the bottom, and I'm thinking, what's going on? I couldn't quite tell. And all of a sudden, out of the silty bottom, this orca backs up and lifts up this ray. And it lifted it up above my head. And I was like, this is what dreams are made of for Natural History TV. I knew this was a huge moment. Picking up an eagle ray by its tail has never been filmed before, and they did it 3 times that day. It was huge. As a kid, I remember devouring stories of people doing incredible adventures on the ocean. I remember the first time putting my head under a beautiful blue sea. It's like, I was hooked forever, man. This is the world I wanted to be part of. And the cool thing is, I've got all my kids into it now as well.
Isn't that awesome? When I was 12, I had to do a school project about the ocean and how we can protect it. So I asked Dad to help me make a video about how turtles are eating plastic, and I showed it to my brother's class.
I remember seeing those kids when you showed the video and their eyes just lit up. I thought, man, this is powerful. It was a light bulb moment for me. I thought, kids showing kids about the ocean, awesome, and that's where Young Ocean Explorers come about.
Today's adventure is pretty exciting. We're on the lookout for one of the biggest creatures alive. With Young Ocean Explorers, it's about me going into my dad's underwater world. We've done 20 episodes so far, with some stories being on humpback whales, dolphins, turtles, and I even got to go up to the Kermadec Islands and swim with heaps of sharks. And I got to do my first PADI Discover scuba dive in the Cook Islands, which was amazing.
We want to create stories that inspire this generation of kids, that they see how incredible the ocean is and that they need to look after it as well. I never would have dreamed we'd be doing what we're doing now.
My name's Riley.
And I'm Steve Hathaway, and my PADI's open this world to us, and we want to share it with others.
I haven't always been in a wheelchair. I'm 30 years old now, but I became paralyzed when I was 12 years old due to an autoimmune condition called transverse myelitis. You know, it was the best and worst day of my life. I remember waking up that day, February 5th, 1999, just like any other day, dressing myself, going to school, eating breakfast, hanging out with my friends, going to basketball practice. And suddenly I had a hard time catching my breath, like I couldn't breathe. So I set out and I got this massive headache, the worst pain I've ever felt. Terrified, of course, thinking that whatever's going on, it can be resolved and, you know, I'll be walking again. About a week's worth of testing, they came back with transverse myelitis. And of course, I didn't know what that meant. Okay, now what? When I first came home, it was kind of, everything in my room was the same, my friends are the same, but I'm now different. And it was just kind of that moment of realization that, you know, my life's never gonna be the same. You can really get affected by, you know, society's inaccessibility and, you know, kind of knows all the time. And I think scuba diving for me was kind of my yes. It was my answer and my solution. And I'm just, it's the best thing on the planet. You know, being able to do something so extreme as scuba diving and so fun, and something I can do with my family, it was just the moment where I realized I want to do this and have this opportunity for other people. My dad is Al Unser Jr., and my grandpa is Al Unser Sr., and my uncle is Bobby Unser, and, you know, kind of, my family is really well known in sort of the auto racing world, the Indianapolis 500. My dad's won it twice, and my grandpa's won it 4 times, and my uncle's won it 3 times. So we're kind of a winning family, I guess. And I kind of use sort of that spirit or that champion spirit, you know, in life in general is, you know, you're not always gonna win, but you're not gonna always lose either. And to have a winning attitude is something that I think helps you propel in life. I think it was, and this is what I love about scuba diving, is that it's a very challenging sport. I mean, it's not easy, but it took me out of my disability element. I really love making an impact for people and kind of having the opportunity to, you know, change or influence perspectives, and especially when it comes to the world of disability and paralysis. So that's why we started the Cody Unser First Step Foundation. And it kind of evolved from there, from awareness to advocacy for quality of life, you know, being here, doing things, creating or developing, you know, anything that you want to do. It starts with one step. So And I think scuba diving is a perfect example of that. You know, you start with training and then you go on and advance and stuff. So, but it is that first step that really matters.
One of the things I think that I've learned the most from Cody and the biggest impact she's had on my life as a scuba instructor is that I've learned that she doesn't take things for granted and she just puts herself out there. She has a sense of fortitude, of compassion, and of trailblazing, unlike any other person I've met. She seizes opportunities for things that she finds interesting to her, and she is great at evolving some of those ideas into realities that has a much larger impact on herself. It impacts like an entire community, and I'm not talking just about the disabled community, I'm talking about community of people as a whole.
I think scuba diving is a healing sport. It is a healing activity, not only physically because you're active, you're getting on and off a boat, you're putting gear on, a wetsuit, so it is kind of exercise in that sense, but I think also kind of mentally and emotionally it actually does really affect you and really impact your life and allows you to question, you know, how can I do something else or when can I do something else? And but it's been awesome to be kind of, again, part of this whole movement of wellness, and to think that diving can actually have an effect on that is so cool, so awesome.
Cody has inspired me with her overall zest for life. It's very, she's definitely a role model. She's taught me to not be afraid of trying something new and don't fear disappointment. If it's not meant to be, it's not meant to be, but it shouldn't stop you from trying to conquer something.
Personally for me, I think I had to go through a traumatic event, such as becoming paralyzed, to actually sort of tap into a stronger self. If I can go back in time, you know, I wouldn't change a thing. My name is Cody Unser, and I'm a PADI diver.
I have the same dream all the time. I dream I have 2 legs. I dream about tiger sharks. We're swimming together, coexisting. And then I see myself running out of the water and onto the shore. Something's driving me to be near these animals. Face to face, in their element. My near-death experience has compelled me to understand more. The attack is where my story begins. It was the fall after graduating high school. My buddies and I went for an early morning surf. We knew the waves were going to be really good, so we were pretty excited to pull up to the beach. And I was out for maybe 5 minutes or so in about 30 feet of water right off the beach. And as soon as I'd made that first paddle, a large tiger shark came up underneath me and grabbed onto my legs. I knew I was getting attacked by a shark. Then I stuck my hand in its mouth to try to get my legs out, and that didn't work, and it started swaying me back and forth, kind of more and more pressure on my legs. And out of total instinct, with my left hand, I started punching it on the nose. And I punched it a couple good times, and it let go of my legs, and I got back on my board, and I looked at my index finger, and I had subconsciously tried to reach into its mouth to try to get my legs out. The guy next to me started taking off to the beach, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna follow him in. And as I'm paddling, my right leg started doing this spasm, and I thought it was a shark trying to finish me off. And I looked over my shoulder, and it wasn't that, it was my leg perfectly amputated off. And my friend Kyle ran up to me, took my leash, made a tourniquet to stop the bleeding, and they said a quick prayer for me. And I remember I woke up the next day in our main hospital. Family and friends were all around me, and I remember the doctors asked my mom, do you want to tell him? And my mom's to the doctor, yeah, I'll tell him right now. And hey Mike, you know, you lost your leg. But I already knew that my leg was gone and that my life had changed forever. I'm a diver, a surfer, and a photographer. I've been a professional photographer for over 12 years. In the water, that's where I feel completely at home. I know that strong visual storytelling can change people. That's the beauty of photography. You can inspire people to do something that they might not ordinarily do. I wanted to change people's perception of sharks and make a difference. I wanted to prove that the tiger shark that attacked me wasn't a monster, but instead was worth protecting. With my work, I really felt I could do that. I just have to be close enough. The few years after the attack, I would go to the library and get shark attack books. I would search the web of shark attacks, and I was curious why I got attacked. And it wasn't until a few years after that that I was contacted by a fellow shark attack survivor, and she wanted to know if I knew about shark finning and shark conservation. And it turned from this curious of why this happened to me to there's something bigger going on. I'm in a unique situation to be an advocate for sharks, and it feels right inside to do something.
I was contacted to take Mike out to the Bahamas to dive with not just sharks, but tiger sharks, the same species that he lost his leg to. And I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know his experience in the water, how much diving, or really what level he would be at when he got there and saw the sharks. Mike has to be incredibly strong, and there's got to be some sort of really passionate drive to make the choice to go back in the water, to face that animal that affected your whole life. Really, I think it's inspiring for anyone to get in the water and to see these animals, and also just to face the challenges, to face their fears, to experience all these incredible things despite what has happened to us.
The last few years, I've heard Jillian's name come up quite a bit, all in very good context. She's a world-renowned shark scientist. I love shark science. Any chance I can get to learn good, sound shark science from somebody that's been through it day in and day out, I'll jump at that opportunity. Tiger Beach is this flat sandbar 20 miles off the coast of Grand Bahama. Divers from all over the world dive here to get up close and personal with the tiger sharks that call this place home. The goal was to be there close to the anniversary of my attack and to document what I found. I try not to have expectations on dive trips. You got the weather, you've got whether the sharks show up or not. Whatever happens is sort of icing on the cake. The sharks show up, the sharks show up. We had a good distance to sail, and our plan was to dive as many times as we could before getting to Tiger Beach. There were shipwrecks, coral reefs, and other shark species to explore.
I've done countless dives out here, and you see a lot of different species, which is why it's one of the most exciting spots to dive. But really, we want to see Mike comfortable in the water and next to a big, beautiful tiger shark. That, to me, is the ultimate connection. It's why we're here.
I needed some time to acclimate myself to the water and to get my head right. I knew getting in and shooting would put me at ease and prepare me for what was to come. The anticipation kept building. Jillian and I, we talked a lot about what we hoped to see. And her wisdom, it gave me confidence. After several days on the open ocean, we finally made it to the dive site, Tiger Beach. In the morning of the last day, I was in my bunk when I heard those 2 words. Everything accumulated to that very moment, to those 2 words, tiger, shark. Oh, my heart is very excited though. Nervous and excited. Days and days accumulating comes to right now. Is the battery in my camera, is the memory cards in my camera, is my regulator hooked, is all these things, and then you just gotta put it all away. Just trust that you've done everything right for that moment. And it's back to the swim step, looking down and seeing this black shadow slowly cruising all around you, and that's a tiger shark. This is our moment, this is it. You can be diving with a bunch of different species and there's nothing, absolutely nothing that compares to a tiger shark. Not only is it sheer size, its beautiful stripes, the way it swims and has total command of everything around it, it's its eyes. There's something about looking into its pupil and you see a soul. I think if we did a one collective worldwide dive and everybody got to see what I saw for those 20 minutes or so, I think our perceptions of the ocean, our perceptions of sharks would completely change and completely be flipped 180. It's almost the bigger the fish, the gentler they are. They got nothing to prove. They've been there, done that. It's one of those things, it's so different than watching a movie, looking at a photo. Yeah, you can tell we're not their number one source of prey at all. Not even the second source, not even their 100th source. We are pretty much the last thing they'd want to eat.
Whew, that was incredible. 3 species, 4 tiger sharks. Oh man, unbelievable. At one point, the tiger shark swam right over Mike's prosthetic, and it was just like, wow. I just stopped and I looked, and just seeing that, these 2 connections right there in such a different way than how it all started. So same animal, but such a different experience. So to see that and to be able to be in the water with him and see that was just amazing.
I really think we're at a critical juncture right now. Ocean acidification, coral reef bleaching, there's all these things, and if I could do one little part of one little aspect of that and inspire that one person that is able to do something that helps save a species, to me, my life's mission has been complete.
In 2008, I was diagnosed with a very weird cancer. By the time the doctors found it, they said that I will die before 6 months. And that day, my life changed forever. When I got the surgery and I lost my leg, I got really depressed, almost to the that that I taking my life. I remember I was talking with my wife and I told her I have no reason to keep moving forward. I just want to give up and don't want to be here anymore. Starting scuba diving was mainly by accident. After losing my leg, my oncologist recommended me to do some swimming. And then a good friend of mine told me, "Hey Leo, why we don't try to do some scuba diving?" And honestly, the very first time was really, very bad, and a very bad experience because no one of us know how to work with a disabled diver. The first time I jump into the water, I sink straight to the bottom. And I was struggling a lot because I didn't know how to propulse myself. So I was crying and I filled my mask, with tears. My friend grabbed me, he was actually dragging me. And eventually, after a couple of minutes, I discovered how to propulse myself. And I found my balance. And then, in that very moment, I knew that my life was changed forever. After I jumped out of the water, I surfaced like another different person. I was alive again. The ocean gave me my life back. When I surfaced, I was a new creature. I was a new human being. And now I felt the obligation to share this with everyone. Bring as much people I can back to life. The cenotes, to me, have an important significance. I think it's everything combined in it. I mean, it's the jungle, it's the water, and it's the environment, and so many millions of years right there, waiting to be discovered, to be explored. For the ancient Mayan world, the cenote represents the entrance to the underworld. Sometimes the Mayans used the cenote to sacrifice people. For me, the cenote means life. I think I'm really connected to this magical place because somehow I sacrificed my leg, but anytime I'm surfaced from the cenote, I feel reborn. Scuba diving is an amazing sport, it's an amazing activity, but the most important thing is you realize that under the water you don't have any limitations, you don't have any disability. You are able to fly. The world record came up to send a powerful message. I was training trimix, and by the time I jumped into the water with 2, 3, 4 tanks at the same time, the tourists who came with us into the boat, they came to me and they told me, "Leo, you need to spread the word about this thing because watching you doing this thing, diving with so many tanks at the same time, seeing you kicking and moving so confident onto the water, it can be very inspiring for some other people. You can help a lot of people, not only for disabled people or even for cancer survivors like I am, but for everyone. It took me 12 minutes to reach 400 feet and almost 2 hours to do the different decompression stops until I got surface again. I was the first disabled diver in the entire world to set that world record. It was an amazing adventure to inspire and to promote the capabilities of every one of us. Sometimes people asking me if I had the chance to go back to my older life, I will, and I say no way. The most important thing is do what you like to do and have some passion. And this is scuba diving for me. It's passion, it's pure passion. It's the place that I can find myself in the best place that I can be on earth. This is the media that I use to express myself. There is no way that I would love to go back to my older life. I'm more alive now, and I'm a better person now than I used to be. My name is Leo Morales. My PADI is how I discover my new self.
I grew up in a poor family in the Philippines. There's one thing that my mom never stopped doing is that every Sunday we would go up to a local beach and we would go out there and kind of like get together with the whole family. I have a pair of rubber goggles and I would stay for hours and hours until I turned black and dark. But just being to submerge myself in this water, it was just like one of the things that I will never forget in my entire life. And that was my first time to experience the ocean. I only started scuba diving when I got a chance to do a Discover Scuba in a swimming pool. It was a free Discover Scuba, so I jumped into it. And at that time, I said like, this is it. This is my sport. My parents actually didn't expect me to become a scuba instructor. They expected me to own my own restaurant, and that was not what I loved to do. And I love to travel, I love to go to different places and experience different things. So I said diving would be an ultimate way for me to be able to do and achieve that. I just like followed my heart, and here I am after 19, 20 years. I'm still teaching, and I love every bit of it. There's always this special bond between the student and instructor. I'd probably say it's more of a tribe, you know, you become very, very close. You share the same passion, you share the same experience, you share the same challenges and struggles. So there's always that connection that you get from your students. And actually, they don't stay as students, they become actually good friends. You have someone that understands how you feel and understands where you're going, and kind of motivates me also to be able to like introduce more diving into more people, and you have that same mentality. It's always fascinating to me to be able to just sit down after the dive and just share what you've seen underwater. And that makes you get closer and closer to people. I have one student. I certify him as an advanced all the way to assistant instructor. He moved to the Philippines. He's so tired of his work here in the US, and he said, like, I'm gonna go to the tropical countries. I want to experience what you had experienced before. So he went to the Philippines, stayed there for 9 years, become a really great instructor and an underwater photographer. He'd never been so happy in his life until he moved to that place. Sadly, he passed away last year. It's such a great thing to hear that someone's like, you changed my life, you know, I really enjoyed what I'm doing now, and you've been a big part of it. It's a very fulfilling kind of thing. When the first time I put on that goggles and went into that murky water, that feeling still comes back to me now that I'm able to go scuba diving and able to put on a mask. And now going to every part of the world and trying to discover the underwater realm. And that is just so rewarding for me as a scuba instructor. I'm able to share my knowledge and my experience to my students, at the same time share this great lifestyle with my whole family. Be able to travel, be able to go scuba diving, be able to do what we love to do. My PADI means to me my passion, my lifestyle, my way to see the underwater world. My name is Zach Araneta, and I am a master instructor.
My ocean is my life. My ocean is also your ocean. When I say my ocean is my life, it reminds me of a quote from Sylvia Earle when she said, "Everywhere there's life, there's water. And there's nowhere there's life that there isn't water." We need the ocean to survive. We're intricately connected to the ocean. My ocean is your ocean. I grew up in Barbados, a small island in the Caribbean Sea. You can't walk, run, or drive too far on my island before you hit the coastline. And from a very young age, I always saw the coastline as the beginning of a frontier that I wanted to know more about. At 6 years old, my mom gave me my first mask, snorkel, and fins. From the time I put on that mask and I went into the ocean, my life changed forever. I would be in the sea until I was wrinkled. I remember the first time I went snorkeling, the noises, the colors, the fish. I was on a safari at home, a few feet from shore. My father was also a fisherman, so he would leave for many days on a boat and he would come back with big shrimp, big fish. Most importantly, the stories. I never forgot the stories, and I always knew I wanted to go out there too. I wanted to know what he saw. I wanted to see what he saw. As I got older and I kept snorkeling and later freediving, reefs that I started snorkeling earlier were not looking the same way in just a few years. I think we were doing underwater cleanups back then because every piece of plastic I saw, I already started to take out of the water. I realized that there were stresses happening. I couldn't vocalize it, but I knew something had to be done. When it came to choosing a career, I think it was already chosen at 6. My first job was in a water sports shop. My second job was in the marine lab. Being in the dive shop, I got to learn to dive. Being in the Marine Lab, I got to work with scientists from around the world that would come into Barbados to do field work. I knew I wanted to do both of those things. It was just a natural fit, being a biologist and also being a PADI instructor. One of my greatest accomplishments was being part of the team that got the Marine Park in Carlisle Bay established and open. It's a textbook example, I think, of a marine protected area. We needed to do something. So I focused my studies on coral restoration and later on coral transplantation. Coral restoration implies that a reef has been damaged by a boat or a hurricane, and we can go out there and we can fix it. We can now come and seed it with smaller fragments of coral, and hopefully if water quality and the fish life is there to help with the grazing, we can start to help the reefs recover. We've worked on this for many years. We specialize in this now. We've saved tens of thousands of corals throughout the region. I'm very cautious because I don't want people to think that we can just build a coral reef. You cannot transplant an entire ecosystem. But you can help right some of the wrongs that we have been doing for the last decades. We had to get locals to understand this is your ocean. It's not for only visitors, but this is your backyard. If we don't know what's there, we're not going to protect it. And that was the main catalyst to me. Imagine if we could expand this around the island. Imagine if we can expand this throughout the region. The children that we're teaching to dive and snorkel right now are so much smarter than we were when we were their age. The ocean is the greatest television set. The ocean is the greatest iPod. I just have to get them there. And they take their lessons home to their parents. It is one of the most gratifying parts of my job. My hope for the future is that more people would slow down and smell the ocean. We need to appreciate what's here. Just get in the ocean, put a mask on. If we see what's there, we're going to protect it. My PADI allows me to influence the next generation. Bless. My name is Andre, and I am a PADI diver.